What's going on, everybody? Mortem here, this time bringing you a video about Dragon's Dogma 2, which got some exciting news over the past couple of weeks, which is primarily that it is getting a big Dark Arisen expansion this October. However, that raised a few interesting questions, I think, for me personally, and a lot of other people as well, who were disappointed with the base game of Dragon's Dogma 2. And to that end, to provide a little bit of context here, I reviewed Dragon's Dogma 2 when it released, and I ultimately gave it a buy on sale, as there were a few things in there that I just didn't really enjoy. It kind of dropped off a cliff once you got to the desert part of the game, reducing the number of active skills you have, and a few other things that were just overall kind of a nuisance that brought down the experience and honestly made it feel a little more like a remaster of the original than a proper sequel. And while I have honestly detailed that in a lot of different videos, it just so happens that relatively recently we got this announcement of this expansion, and the Dark Arisen expansion for the original game did a lot towards making that game what people know it for today, myself included. I played it long after that expansion had been added, and so it only seems fair then that I inevitably cover this DLC and talk about what it does for the game, as to be honest with you, the mood around it is overall pretty positive, and given how much I had high hopes for Dragon's Dogma 2, I sincerely hope that this big expansion DLC winds up breathing that same life into the sequel here, even if it doesn't seem like it is going to address some of the stuff around the story, as I mentioned. However, simply too early to say there for sure. But to that end, I want to talk a little bit about the update they've already put out as of June 9th, the upcoming update on August, and then what the expansion itself should be adding in October, on October 9th in particular, I think. But do bear in mind, this is not new information. I'm a little bit behind the ball on this one. I knew I wanted to cover it, but I had a lot of pressing stuff going on the past couple of weeks. But the interesting thing about life is that you can in fact just do things. So here we are. Now, while the expansion is pretty exciting news, there's actually a couple changes coming in the August update in particular that are of note to me that I'm very much looking forward to. However, as I mentioned, the June 9th patch already added a few things, like for instance expanded some of your options for fast travel, adding new port crystals, adjusting the price of fairy crystals, making changes to ox carts, and overall, in theory at least, making fast travel a more, let's say, convenient experience. On top of that, they also introduced and adjusted the balance on a few different items. In particular, it looks like they increased the stats you could get on items that would drop from dungeons. And they also added a new specialization for your pawn, the Guardian specialization, which will do things like fend off raids that could happen on ox carts, as well as just dispatching smaller enemies that would attack camp, or reducing the health of larger enemies. Overall, some good changes in there. They also made changes to some UI stuff and also fixed some bugs and things as well. And actually, to be honest with you, most of this patch was bug fixes, which I thought was interesting. And then, of course, there's the upcoming August update. This one is not out yet, but we do have an idea of some of the things it is going to adjust. Namely, most excitingly for me, actually, it's going to bump up the active skills back to 6, allowing you to simply do more and have more abilities and things on offer, which should go a long way for just doing more in combat and giving you more options overall in and of itself. Now, if that wasn't enough, it also looks like they'll be adjusting the Dragon's Plague, the illness that could befall your pawns. In particular, they mentioned that they're going to be adding treatment options, seemingly to allow you to get rid of it more easily, but they were also vague on some of the other changes that are apparently coming to this, like they've mentioned some things about making it benefit you in some way. And then they should be adjusting the save system as well to allow you to save more freely, it would seem. But again, details on the specifics of all that don't seem to be forthcoming at the moment outside of those generalities. Presumably, that one will also come with some bug fixes, which, all combined with the update since launch as well, should hopefully solve some of the performance problems people reported with this game as well. But obviously, we will see how that actually winds up panning out. Then there is the upcoming expansion itself, Dark Arisen. So this is going to do a few things that they have detailed. In particular, it's going to add some stuff to character creation, which I thought was interesting, mostly because character creation for this game was already very robust. But on top of that, they're adding 12 new dungeons to the base game, the area that is already available, so there will be even new things to explore there. But the main bit of content is going to be the new area to the north, Norg Morgan, I believe it's called. And it looks like this will function not entirely dissimilarly, I should say, from the Dark Arisen expansion from 1 or Bitter Black Isle, where we're going to be trying to get to the bottom of a mystery surrounding the fallen dragon there, and along the way we'll be picking up relics that can then be appraised and provide a certain amount of gear progression through that system as you move through the DLC itself. They also detail that there is a character that you'll be presumably teaming up with in some fashion who is after whatever is going on with this fallen dragon. But it would hardly be a Dragon's Dogma title if the answers were forthcoming. But that is a rough approximation of what is going on in this game at the moment. And from there, I just kind of wanted to take a minute to talk about a couple of other things. And I will say that while all of this certainly does sound good, and I'm excited to check it out, it doesn't appear to me, at least, that they are going to be doing anything about the lackluster second area, the sort of desert area, which could honestly stand to be reworked, in my opinion. That place was a real letdown compared to the opening half of the game, which is actually pretty good. As for the rest of it, I have high hopes. It is being directed by the same person who directed the original one for the original game as well, and a lot of people really loved Bitter Black Isle in the original game, so hopefully they managed to recapture some of that here. But beyond that, I really just wanted to say that I'm glad they didn't abandon it altogether. It originally released back in early 2024, and so while it took 2.5 years, they did seemingly put a lot of work into this expansion and trying to take in feedback as they did that, addressing things like stuff with the weapon skill even outside of the expansion. And so I guess overall I'm just hopeful that this will be a better experience overall for the title, even if it doesn't exactly fix the launch day woes like the performance and the things I've already mentioned. And so while it certainly is a case of reinforcing the idea that the best bet for people is usually to wait for the better version of the game to finally come out, I will also say that I had pretty much written this off. I just kind of assumed after all this time they were just going to let it lie and be what it was, and I'm happy again to see that was not the case. And as I mentioned, it feels only fair that after I was less than thrilled with the base game, that I take a look at this expansion when it drops and see if it makes the game better in the ways that were important to me anyway. But with that said, I would love to know what you think about this stuff down in the comments section below if you're planning on checking this out for yourself or anything else you want to add, I suppose, which naturally means to like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube jazz. But regardless of any of that, truly, just thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. May you wander in wisdom and have an amazing day.